All right, everybody, once again, it is another Tuesday, and that means we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, www.welikespортspc.com proudly presents to you its Tag Team Champions of the World. And we just don't have two, we have four. We're going to bring everybody on in a minute. It's going to be a podcast party, ladies and gentlemen. We have got myself, we've got Gabriel. Hang on one second. Let me click another button. Look out, Ricky Logan is with us. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. And if that's not good enough, hang on, a first-time guest. Someone who has never been on the Sportz Truth before. He's got a big old smile on his face and a Reds cap on his head. Let's bring him in. It is a Raja. All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
We're good.
All right. Gabriel, we got you?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Let's do
Logan.
this.
Yes, Ricky Logan, we got you and that beautiful hair. Look at all that right there.
We're here.
We're here. Roger, how about yourself, buddy? Can you hear us now?
Yeah. That was an interesting onboard. I really appreciate the intro. That was great, Mike. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. All right. So we may have some more people joining us in chat. I'll explain everything here in just a second. But before I do, we need to get to the walk-up music.
Are you ready?
Yes.
20 seconds start now. Ten seconds remaining.
I'm gonna pulse. Just resist it. See it before his eye.
4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up.
All right, here we go. Like I said, it is a podcast party today, boys and girls. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let me give you the intro because here we go. Turn this down just a little bit in the background. There we go. That's a loud voice, but I don't know if it was that loud. All right. The New York Football Giants may do something for the first time in over 100 years. What is it? And is it a big deal? We'll explain. The White Sox have done something 6 times since the start of spring training, and in typical White Sox fashion, it is not very good. We'll tell you what it is, and we'll tell you exactly how it's going to affect MLB. The USL, then their second season kicks off this weekend. Do you care? We'll discuss 8 teams with 4 former MVPs in baseball history. We're going to look at all of them. We're going to study them, and then we're going to talk about them even more. 8 teams, 4 former MVPs on each team. I can see the wheels turning in everybody's head right now. Only Gabriel got notes, so the rest of poor Ricky and Roger are like, I don't know what that's talking about. We'll get there, gentlemen. We will, I swear. Who will you choose, or who would you choose as your opening day starter? We'll have a Twitter poll question. We'll give all of our fans the ability to do so, plus the 3 guys I've got with me. Woo! We got an old Oriole, and we're going to do rapid fire before it's all said and done. But first, yes, there's a first. We're going to do one former Patriot who is now a Buckeye and a former Buckeye who wants to be a better man. And we're going to do both of those stories right now as soon as I get this music kicked up here. All right, there we go. I've got it set and ready to go. But let's go through everybody here real quick. Gabriel, we'll start with you. He is top right. Gabriel, you are with Curious Sports Pulse Media. Tell us about that, buddy.
Hello. First of all, thank you, Michael and Ricky, Roger. Great meeting you. Yeah, we're really busy with March Madness and March Madness. Not as many buzzer beaters, but the one buzzer beater that we had, phenomenal. Derek Queen, what a player! And I'm looking forward to the Sweet 16. So that's kind of what we're focusing on over at Cure Sports Pulse. So thank you, Michael.
Oh, no problem. Now we'll go right down below you there. Don't stomp on Ricky's beautiful hair too much there with that coffee cup, okay? Ricky Logan and Roger, it's Strass, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I said it right because, look at that last name I got. No. All right, so these two gentlemen have got a brand new podcast out. I believe it's in third, fourth episode, something like that, right, gentlemen?
I think we just finished up our seventh episode. We just got off recording. We interviewed Reds Daily 4 on Twitter.
Oh, excellent! I have him on our Twitter account as well. We'll go through everybody's social medias and stuff like that as we get into this. We have 4 of us here, and everything's going to go great. Ricky, tell me a little bit about you, and then we'll talk to Roger, and then we'll talk about Red Hot Reds.
Yeah. I write with you on We Like Sports PC. I write about the Reds. Roger and I wrote a salary cap article together about why baseball needs a salary cap and how they could go about it. We threw some, logical takes and we threw some outlandish takes, and I think one of those needs to happen. But I write, edit for the site, and publish, and we got this podcast going. I will be hosting a pregame show with Chatterbox Sports for doing a pregame show for the Red Show. I'll be doing that 2 to 3 days a week. Busy and coaching T-ball. So throw all that stuff in there. It's busy man here.
Busy man. Now I have to ask: is Roger on your T-ball team?
He's actually my the general manager.
Oh, the GM of the football. Look out! So when you get ticked off at a kid, Roger has to be the one to let him go. Then, right? Like, Roger, go tell the kid we don't want him anymore. He can't even hit a baseball off a tee, man. Get him out of here. All right.
Yeah. We got to sign him to AAA Louisville after a bad practice or two.
There you go. All right, Roger, tell me about you, buddy. Tell all of our fans out there what is going on in the life of Roger.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky and I have been working on this podcast. It's been great. Ricky's been great behind the scene, pulling all the strings, getting some great guests lined up, and we got some more on the way. Greg for Reds Daily, we just got off recording with him, and he was great. We also are going to start a Reds recap show on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. where we're going to recap the week. We're going to go through the highs, the lows, who did well, who did poorly, and basically preview the next couple series of the week. And all throughout the 2025 season, we're going to try to bring you the best stuff we can.
That sounds excellent. The only thing that would sound better is when you hook me up with a guest speaker spot on that show sometime. So
yeah, you're welcome anytime.
We have all that. So all right.
I think we're thinking the Arizona series. Whenever that's coming up, the invite is there.
All right, sounds good. Now, Gabriel, we can't knock you out of the side here. You're a Yankees guy, right?
No. No, I live in New York, but yeah, if the Yankees were to lose all their games, I would love that, and all my friends would probably do things that we can't say right now.
Wait a minute.
I'm a Red Sox guy.
Oh, that's right. But
yeah.
But Ricky, I'm sorry, not Ricky. Man, this is going to be awful. I'm going to have to look at everybody and
a lot of moving pieces.
Right now, Gabriel, I have to say, you have friends.
Oh yeah, but Jordan's a Mets fan, so it's fine.
Well, okay. Well, we don't really count him. Jordan's the guy that's commenting right now. So, So we'll throw some people up here. I'm sure there's going to be more. There usually is. So we will have everybody join with us here. Let's go back to the teas here real quick. Yeah. Well, you know what? I am trying to get a whiskey sponsor right at the moment. We're pretty close, so maybe we'll all celebrate together before it's all said and done here on the Sportz Truth. Once again,
Nice.
we got Gabriel in the top right. You got Ricky right below him. You got Roger over to his left as you're looking and going around in a cute little circle there. Man, okay. Calm down, son. Calm down. I can't click on all these things. Chill, bro. All right. So let's get all those beautiful faces back up there. And let's go with question 1 from NFL. 4 down territory. All right, Gabriel, Ricky, Roger. That's the order we'll go in for the first question. Gabriel, Ricky, Roger here. So, Matt Patricia doesn't think going from the NFL to Ohio State is a step back. The first question for everybody is, do you agree with that? Do you agree that going from the NFL to Ohio State is not a step back? All right. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? Hang on. We got something going on right away. And it is the Sportz Truth Live X poll question. We're getting ready to put it up on our Twitter page right now. That is the 643 and Out Pod. That's where you can go on X and get it. Here's the question. Former Patriots coach turned Ohio State football defensive coordinator doesn't think going from the NFL to Ohio State is a step back. And the question is, do you agree with him? I will click post. You and all of our fans can now go over to our Twitter, the 643 and Out Pod, and can actually vote live right along with us. All right. All kinds of stuff going on here. So, can't believe this simpleton's getting everything put together and in the right order here. But he is. Can't believe that. Ricky, you'll be second. Gabriel, you'll start us off. I was waiting on the music. All right. Do you think going from the NFL to Ohio State is a step back?
Yeah, I don't think so, and I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with Coach here. It's not a step back, and it's not a lateral move or anything like that. It's a different occupation. It's an entirely different beast altogether. Now, there are a lot of aspects now that are similar with NIL and the transfer portal between college and professional, but it's not a step back. Like you're at Ohio State. That's a pretty significant program. That's a really top-notch school, really great history, and you have a very similar work ethic in terms of what's asked of you in terms of a coach, and then all the other administrative aspects. So I don't view it as a step back at all. I understand that working at the NFL, there are more limited jobs, and that it could be, and that it's seen by many as a step up, as upward lateral movement. I get that, but I think that the glamour and what you get in today's college football, I think that it's much more appealing. And case in point, look at where he is right now.
All right. Nice, Gabriel. Let's go down to Logan, buddy. The same question, still intact. So Matt Patricia is going from the NFL to the Ohio State Buckeyes as their new defensive coordinator, and he has said that it's not a step back. Do you agree?
I think for him it is, just based off his track record in the NFL. As a head coach, he's 13-29-1. And he doesn't have a good relationship with players. Like he's really instills that Belichick way. And I don't think it resonates with people because he's not Bill. But, if he can go to Ohio State and then resonate with players, I think it might in the long run not be a step back. It might get him back into the NFL. But I don't see him being having that mindset that if it doesn't work, after year one. If he's not back in the NFL after 2 years, I think it's a step back.
All right, Roger, same question, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it so much as a step back, but maybe like say a holding pattern. We kind of saw this a lot under Saban at Alabama, where a bunch of coaches would go there as coordinators, like Bill O'Brien when he kind of stunk it up with the Texans, kind of went through what they called the coaching car wash, got the losing stink off of him, and then ended up going back to the NFL. Same kind of thing could be said possibly of Chip Kelly with Ohio State most recently, where he was the offense coordinator and now is back into the NFL coaching again. I guess it would be a different scenario if he wasn't a coordinator, if he was kind of like Belichick taking over a whole program like he is at UNC, because that, like the stuff that Ryan Day, Saban, and Belichick had to do, with being the main guy, the CEO of the program, is a lot more stress. He could just come in, do his coordinator stuff, wait for a coach to go 3-14 in the NFL, and boom, he's going to have 2 or 3 interviews this time next year.
All right. So yes, and you're going to see me moving back and forth doing all kinds of stuff because we got all kinds of people here. We got some comments that I haven't put up on the board yet. But by golly, I'll tell you what, we are alive and we are kicking it today. We got a podcast party going on here. I tell you what, Roger, let me go right back to you, and then I'll go in reverse order. I'll go Roger, Ricky, and then Gabriel. Here's the second question, still dealing with the same topic, right? He said he wanted to go somewhere where he could mentor and teach players. Do you think it's easier to mentor and teach players at the college level than it is the NFL level? And if so, why?
Yes and no. I think nowadays NIL has kind of changed the power dynamic a little bit, where a lot of players are free to go in the transfer portal, find NIL money at different programs and whatnot. So you're not seeing the same players staying at the same program for as long of a period of time. At the same time, I don't think we're going to see Matt Patricia there for 5 years, to be honest with you. I really think he could be in this, in the NFL back this time next year, or at least interviewing for jobs at the very least, maybe comes back for a second year at Ohio State. I don't know. I think at the same time, a lot of pros at certain levels want to be coached. They're not there to get yelled at or be told that they don't do something, they're not going to get their scholarship revoked. Like the pros, totally different animal the way you go about it. But I think you can teach up players, and Belichick was known for teaching up technique and making sure that his team was on top of it or whatever they're doing back in the day with the Patriots. Like you could do the same thing at both levels. And to be honest with you, the talent at Ohio State, they have NFL talent on their sidelines. So he will be mentoring them and getting them ready for the pros. So I think it's kind of a little bit yes and no.
All right, so here we are. We're talking about the Patriots. We're talking about Ohio State and how Matt Patricia is doing with both of them. I'll give you some maybe not breaking news. I don't know if the three of you have heard this yet or not. I'm going through my Twitter feed right now. It is official. The Patriots have signed wide receiver Stephon Diggs to a 3-year, $69 million contract, talking about the Patriots. So Stephon Diggs is going to the Patriots. Drake May will have his wide receiver 1, and he is signing 3 years, $69 million. Ricky, is it easier to teach kids at the college level, or is it easier to mentor men at the NFL level?
Yeah, I'm going to harp on what Roger said. I think, 4 years ago, without NIL, I think college kids, they want to learn to get to that next level. But nowadays, if they don't like what they got, they can just transfer out and get, NIL somewhere else. But, I think with the NFL, you have a lot of guys fighting for contracts. And, if they're in a contract year and they're not performing well, I think they want to be coached. So, yeah, I agree with what Roger said. I think if you can get I think college is just a totally different animal now. I think you have the youth factor of and maybe arrogance too with the NIL, and I think the NFL might be a little bit easier now. 10 years ago, I think it'd be the other way around.
An interesting take. Because of the transfer portal, then it might not be as easy as we all think.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Gabriel, let's get your take here. What about mentoring men in the NFL and teaching kids essentially in college? Or are they even kids?
Yeah, it's not easy at either level. So regardless of who's getting paid, who's not getting paid, it's there's still technique to be taught. There's still film to break down, and there's still something. It's like, hey, by the way, when they're in this look, we should really try to do this instead of what you did here. So there's a lot of coaching on at both the college and NFL level. For me, I think that it's overblown in terms of, well, now there's a transfer portal, and players can't have to and players have that option. And we saw that with UNLV, for example, for sure. You always have that emergency exit, I suppose. But at the same time, uh, in large part, the players also know they have to play somewhere, and they are coming out of high school. You're not an NFL product, so they do know, and they are aware that they need to be coached up, and they have to improve their skills, and at the very least put themselves in the best position to then make their ultimate goal, which is the NFL. So yeah, there's a lot more fine tuning in terms of the more basic fundamentals, from high school to college, and then there's that next step from college to the NFL. So if that's what Matt Patricia says he wants to do, I that's a great place to do it. And Ohio State, yeah, they're going to be able to out recruit, say the Purdue's of the world in the Big Ten, for example, and the team on my head, for example. And good for you, Ohio State. That's fine. We won't begrudge you. Um, there's still raw products though. So Matt Patricia, he's going to have his hands full for sure.
All right, I got it. Last thing here on the Ohio State Matt Patricia, and then we're going to stick with an Ohio State theme, but go a little bit different direction here as we kind of teased in the opener. One former Patriot who's now a Buckeye, and a former Buckeye who wants to be a better man. We'll talk about that second part here in just a second. Ryan Day actually confirmed that OSU will visit the White House on April 14th. Now, in an earlier episode, myself and Mitch isn't here with us right at the moment. He's having some technical difficulties with his internet, and we won't slam the internet provider or anything. But I'll just say it begins with a C and ends with an X, and there's an O in between those two letters. So, oops. Anyway, so we're looking at that. My thing here, gentlemen, is when Mitch and I talked about it, we talked about the Eagles and should they be able to go, and should Eagles players be able to go? No, coach, I'm not going. I don't agree with whoever the president is, so therefore I'm not showing up. These guys are kids, though. So here's my question to the three of you. I'm actually going to start with Ricky. I'll go Ricky, Roger, then back to Gabriel. Because they're college kids, should they get a choice? Or because it's a team environment, everybody goes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Ricky, I want to shorten this up a little bit so we can get to some more stuff. So I'm just going to basically ask it to you this way. Should they be allowed to choose or not? Give me yes or no and maybe 30 seconds on it, and we'll move to Roger second.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard just because, what the situation is. I'd say, yeah, there probably should be a choice, but I think it should be like a team vote kind of thing. Like if 30 guys say yes, 20 guys say no, maybe you go. But I mean, we saw how it was when LSU won and Clemson won. I mean, they got gourmet McDonald's. Like, what kid doesn't want that? Regardless of politics, or regardless who's president or whatever. I think just to say you went to the White House is a cool honor.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Roger, let me go to you, buddy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd echo that in terms of being a team decision. It is a strange time. I mean, just the last 10, 15 years or whatever you want, how far back you want to go in terms of the politicization of sports. So sometimes these teams or other teams can be used in certain ways to get points across. Like some will make a statement by not going, and some will make a statement by going, depending on who's in the White House. So there's that. I don't think, it reflects poorly on the university if there is guys that don't want to go, but they opt out and they end up having, because there's 150 kids on most of these teams, right? So you're not going to be, oh, this one. And maybe if you're a hardcore Ohio State fan and you're really into that, but that kind of gets to the point of the politicization. If you're wondering why X player is not there and you're trying to figure out some sort of, some sort of way of like, oh, it must be his politics that he doesn't agree with stuff like that. It might be just as simple as that he had something going on or whatever the situation, or just he didn't feel that it was something he wanted to do. So I don't know. A choice should be made, I think, as a team, but I wouldn't be upset if there's guys that don't want to go to the White House, or if there's a bunch of guys that are hardcore wanting to go. So it should be kind of left up to the players, I say.
All right. I got you. Gabriel, what are you thinking back there, buddy?
I'd be very much okay with individual opt-outs. Like, that's part of what this country is supposed to be, right? The freedom, and if you want that, it's a freedom of expression. It's a form of, a freedom of speech in terms of not going. That's your right to not go. I think you should. I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to go in that capacity, but you have every right. At that point, you're definitely 18, and or you've represented your college, on the national level. You have every right to then say, no, this isn't for me. Either way, it doesn't matter too much. The guys in the locker room, I'm sure they all are aware of where everyone is politically, but they just care about the O linemen making their blocks. They care about their wide receivers running the right routes. They care about their quarterbacks dropping dimes. So I think it's a little bit to do about nothing, but you should have that right to say no.
Okay. You're going to see me doing some stuff. I'm probably going to move on the camera and everything else. This is different for me today because it's usually just myself and one other person, and I'm always got to stay keen to what's going on. You guys can talk for a few minutes. It gives me some time to put some stuff out there on social media and do some other stuff here. So I'm trying to take advantage of that, and we'll see if that affects our numbers or not. We are climbing, so we're good to go. We got some comments here that I'll put up in a few minutes as well. So everybody's with us, and everybody is commenting with us. Texan star quarterback C.J. Stroud, as we move into the second part of the Buckeyes conversation here, says that he has been struggling with cursing and wants to eliminate those words from his vocabulary. So I'm going to ask, Roger, I'm going to start with you, then I'm going to go to Gabriel, and Ricky, you're going to be last, even though you got that pretty hair. All right, so we're going to go Roger, Gabriel, Ricky today on this one. Roger, could you eliminate cursing from your vocabulary? Like if I was going to give you $10,000 and I said, Roger, for the next 6 months, you can't say one curse word and it starts right now. Could you do it, Roger?
So it's going to be during the red season, you're saying?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. You might be getting
tougher, right?
Yeah. Well, David Bell's not the manager, so I think I can make it maybe mid-June. If I have to give myself some sort of over/under. But anyway, we'll have to see because it's definitely an interesting thing to put out there for CJ. I commend him because I think discipline is the underlying message of what he's trying to do with his life, and there's all sorts of different ways that guys have done through the years. Most famously, TB12, Tom Brady has had super strict disciplined diet. I don't know if necessarily cutting out cursing will make you a better football player right away, but I think it's in the lines, in the vein of like he's trying to make himself disciplined, trying to make sure he's a leader. I'm not sure if he's talking about cursing throughout his whole life or just his public life or with his teammates or you know what I mean? Like I think, that if he's doing all aspects of his life, more power to him. But I think the main message is that he's trying to project leadership and discipline through this way. Whether or not it's kind of just to create a headline, I don't know. I don't know CJ Stroud that well, but I know for sure that, quarterbacks love being leader guy. And I think this is kind of one of those aspects that he's trying to present to us.
All right, so I was going to do a second part and then go around to the second part, but I tell you what, Roger, I'm going to give you both parts, okay? So now I'm just going to ask you the second part of the question, and Gabriel, I'll do the same thing to you, and then Ricky, I'll do the same thing to you. So because you kind of touched on it, and I know that I'm a little unfair here. I had all these notes put together. I sent them to Gabriel real quick, but I didn't send them to the two sexy guys at the bottom of the screen. So they don't have these notes in front of them like the two of us do. Yeah, look at that. Gabriel's up there all smiles and everything. But we kind of did this, and there may be 2 or 3 other people who jump on because I didn't really explain all this to everybody, but we thought we were going to be able to do it, myself and Mitch. And then this whole thing with his internet provider got all messed up. And then all of a sudden he texts me and says, "No, I can't do it." I rework everything. I don't know about you guys for your schedules, but I'm one of these guys that like if I can't do it today, I don't have another spot to fit it into my schedule because I'm doing so many other things. So it was either today or nothing. And then I started sending out messages like, "Can you be on? Can you be on? Can you be on?" And everybody was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And I was like, "Oh crap!" Right? So we're just gonna throw everybody on here. We're just doing this like we're gonna put this as the hashtag podcast party, and we're gonna go with it here. But here's the second part of the question, Roger. If he can do it, and I commend him for it, I'll comment about it here at the end once we talk to all three of you. Does this make him a better role model on and off the field if he can live up to these expectations he's putting out there for himself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think the way that the NFL life is kind of built, it's kind of a bit militaristic, built on, coaches and disciplinarians and kind of just like a system where it's every man is, pulling his own weight to get the job done. So if he can kind of like project that, like I've been saying, project that he's going to carry through, maybe that gets his other teammates to buy in to the season, buy into whatever he's talking about for the Houston Texans. I don't know if that necessarily like all of a sudden, kind of has this Tebow effect. If that's kind of like the thing that's kind of come to my mind now is like Tebow was kind of this leader that punched through and like led the Gators to those national titles back in the 2010s or 2000s. So like that kind of feels like that kind of feeling to it, that he's trying to get guys on board with his leadership style, with his way of going about his business, so that the Texans can be the best team that they possibly can be.
Right. I certainly agree. And I tell you what, I know you guys can't see it, but I can see it. We are really jumping up in numbers here all of a sudden. So you guys must be doing some stuff on your end too. I just put a few tweets out there and I've done some promotional stuff real quick, and we are jumping up in numbers. So we appreciate everybody that's coming on board with us. You can put your comments on here right now, just top right-hand part of the screen. Click the comment section. I've got a couple of them that I'll put up here as we go along here. We have added several people here in just the last 45 seconds or so. So we're jumping up in numbers, and we appreciate it. So, Gabriel, I've got both parts for you here. So I would like to ask you, do you think you could cut out cursing out of your vocabulary? And second of all, if C.J. Stroud can do this as he wants to be able to, does that make him a better role model? Go ahead, buddy.
I mean, I could. I choose not to because I don't want to. So let's start there. Yeah, I don't think anyone in the locker room is going to care too much. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they definitely let it go in terms of that on multiple occasions publicly, and they won a couple of rings. So I really don't think that has anything to do with winning, and I doubt that. So the difference between Stroud and say Russell Wilson is that if Russell Wilson came out and said this, I say, oh my goodness, this is so corny. Like just stop. But from CJ Stroud, it does seem genuine. So that's his choice. That's what he wants to do. It doesn't make him, to me at least, any more or less of a role model. If you're on the sidelines in the NFL and you curse someone out, there are some times where a player deserves a chewing, and that's just how it is. So there has to be a distinction. I understand the role model aspect, but there also has to be a distinction. And I think parents need to do a better job of, you don't get to stand over someone that you just tackled because your games aren't on ESPN. So there has to be a little more ownership from the parents.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Ricky, let's get your take on it, buddy. You know the two questions. Give us your answer, sir.
Yeah, I think with Stroud, he's a Christian. I think he's struggling with how he feels he should portray himself to God. And I think if it makes him feel better, I think it'll make him better. Now, whether or not that's, for us to decide, I think, he it reminds me a lot of Tebow in a way, just because Tebow, Christian guy, did the same thing. But like with Stroud, he's like in the middle of his conversion, like through his journey in his faith publicly. Well, Tebow was already there, so it's a little bit different, in I guess in a way. I think it's a two-way street because it's really if you believe in faith, if you believe in a higher power, that's ultimately up for you to decide how you feel about that person. So, as a role model, I think commercially, I think it's great, because you have a good person that clean cut, but not like horny, like Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson feels like he's filming a reality show live. Like it's weird. But with CJ, it feels real. So I think being a role model, I think it's good for him. Yeah.
All right, I kind of like, what we've got right here. Stroud has been through some tough times, so yeah, it's nice. But also, emotions happen, and people will say stuff. Totally agree. I think that's a pretty good way of putting everything together, including colorful words, right? So, of course, I believe in one of the Star Treks. They called it colorful metaphors, if I remember correctly, when Spock was talking about it. So I don't know. I'm an old fart up here on the screen. The rest of you kids are young, so maybe you don't even know what all that is and what the reference is there. But I'm actually going to comment on this one. I've kind of stayed out of the commentary part, but this one kind of hits home for me. I don't know how many of you have ever really noticed it, but I'm in the same boat that CJ Stroud is. I'm a very religious guy, but I also work in a field. I mean, I work in the law enforcement field. And there, man, we just fly off the handle with words all the time, right? And it's a rough environment to be in, and I'm not trying to get any sympathy from anybody, but I'm just saying that I understand what CJ Stroud's going through. And I also have to say this: I can't stand it. It really bothers me. It really. What do you want the old man to say? Grinds his gears or whatever it is, right? That when they'll come on there and they'll say, "Well, first, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ," and start their press conference, and then 3 sentences later they're already cussing. And I'm like, it sounds hypocritical. And that's one of the things. In fact, I'll give you the quote from CJ Stroud, and then we'll move on to our next question here. But CJ Stroud actually says, "You can't proclaim I love God and have a wild mouth. It's hypocritical." And I 100% firmly agree with him. Let's move on to our third of 4 down territory questions here, which is this. Jameis Winston signed a 2-year, $8 million contract with the New York Giants. You ready for this stat? This is going to blow your mind. If he starts the season opener, now listen how I'm saying this, okay? If he starts the season opener, he'll be the first and only black quarterback to start week 1 during the over 100-year existence of the New York Giants. Every week 1 starting quarterback for the New York Giants has been white. Geno Smith started 2 games, but it was in the season when Eli got benched, and Tyrod Taylor started a few games for them as well back in 2023. And Tyrod Taylor is the only black quarterback to ever win a game for the New York Giants. He's the only one, gentlemen. I don't know. I'm not a big race guy, so I'm going to ask everybody here. Now that you've got the stats, now that you know, Ricky, since you were last time, I'll start with you. Then I'll go up to Gabriel, and we'll make Roger looks like he's really thinking here. So I'll let him think on this for a few minutes. Ricky, is it a big deal? Is the whole race thing and being the first one for the New York Giants and their huge history, is that a big deal?
I think so. I mean, personally, I don't look at color. I look at, the person. But that is a crazy stat. I never knew that over 100 years that he would be the first African American quarterback to play. And I also saw, I think they just signed Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they did that
just today. So it's almost guaranteed that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So cool. I mean, that's cool. I think it's the cool little bit of history. I think it deserves its flowers for sure. I think it's a cool thing to celebrate, being the first of any category, honestly, but to be the first, black quarterback to start for the Giants, that's a pretty big deal, week one.
All right, so Gabriel, I'm going to change the question a little bit here. I'm going to kind of combine a few of these things that I was going to do a little differently. Is it a big deal, you think, to the Giants fans that they've never had an African American QB1?
Oh no. It's not a big deal. Because all this really shows is that they had Eli Manning and Phil Simms for forever. That's all that shows me. And then they doubled down on the Daniel Jones mistake. So notable in terms of the topic at hand, but they just happen to have two guys that had a pretty long stretch there at quarterback.
All right, Roger, let's go here real fast. We have got over 50 people live with us right now. I'm Mike Valentine. That is Gabriel. Hang on, I didn't look. Esparza, right? We got Roger Strauss down there and Ricky Logan as well. Roger, where can we find you on social media, sir, before you answer this question?
That's funny. Ricky and I talk about this all the time. I am been like detoxing from social media. Red's Twitter got toxic for a little bit. Red's Facebook got toxic for a little bit. So I've kind of been peeling back. But I'd say that Ricky is in charge of all of our Red Hot Reds podcast social media. So you can find me there with clips and stuff like that, takes and whatnot. I think it's Red Hot Reds Pod at Twitter, Red Hot Reds Podcast on Facebook. We're on Ohio Sports Talk, their YouTube page. We're partnering with them. They're lending us their platform, which is great, and we're really appreciative, Jordan and Doug, for letting us do that and work with them. We'll also be appearing on their show on Thursday to preview our upcoming Sunday show that will be coming up, or our Sunday recap show that will be live every Sunday. So I'm out there, but I'm kind of not. I don't know. I guess I'm not too technologically sound either, so maybe I'm trying to save myself some grief with all the technology by backing out. But you can find all our stuff out there. Ricky does a great job putting clips out there. He's got a countdown for the Reds opening day coming. We're 1 day away now if we are counting. So it's almost here. Baseball's almost back.
Yeah, and if you want to find him where he's at, you can find his work at. Find him on Substack at Local Sports Matter.
Oh.
That's where you can find. Here I am plugging your stuff. That's where you can find. That's where you can find his work. That's how I found him. So
right, let me help you a little bit here, okay, Ricky?
yeah.
All right, Raj, I'm gonna go back to you here for a second. 60 people joining us. We are still climbing. Roger, buddy. What about this? Is it a big deal that the New York Giants have never had a QB1 as an African American quarterback?
Yeah. Before I answer it, was Wyatt Tittle was a New York Football Giant too, right? So they had some good white quarterbacks, I guess you can say. So kudos to them. Is it a big deal? Yeah, in some ways it is. In some ways it seems like long overdue because the advent of the black quarterback's been coming since the 90s, 2000s, maybe even before, in the 80s with Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon and whatnot. Like it's been a long time coming where black quarterbacks have been, the best quarterbacks of the NFL. So it's kind of, I guess, more surprising of a stat than anything that the Giants haven't kind of gone that way. But I was also trying to think. I think he coached for the Jets, but I'm trying to think of a black head coach for the New York Giants in recent memory. I couldn't think of one offhand, and you can correct me if you think of one, but I'm pretty sure that the kind of the way it kind of goes down is that, the ownership, especially in the NFL, has a lot of hands on what goes on for the most part, depending on each owner. Each owner has their own level of control of what goes on. Obviously, like a Jerry Jones is really involved, while some other owners like Kraft are a little bit less involved. But, then it kind of filters down. The philosophy from top to bottom can be that way. So you can't be surprised that if a white owner hires a white coach who likes a white quarterback. So I guess I'm connecting those dots. And I'm not saying they're doing it for any malicious intent. It's just you hire who you hire what you trust. And sometimes I think it just shakes out kind of weird that way. There's probably some other stats because I think 2006 was the first time that black head coaches made it to the Super Bowl with Lovie Smith and what was the Indianapolis coach? Tony
Dungy, right?
Dungy.
Tony Dungy, right? Like 2006 was the first time that a black coach made it to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of like progress will keep coming for the first of certain things and whatnot. But yeah, I guess it's more of a surprising stat than anything.
If I can add something real quick, it wasn't a good look a few years ago with the whole Brian Flores and Brian Daboll thing, where Belichick had congratulated Brian Flores, but it was the wrong Brian. You know, that wasn't a good look. I think, you know, I don't know how people feel about Brian Flores. I think he could have been a good coach, like as a head coach, but that situation, I think, I don't want to call it a curse. I think it was kind of like karma in a way for how they've been performing the last few years, because Daboll was a really good coordinator for Buffalo. So, I mean, it wasn't a good look. And I think with the Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston being, you know, their quarterback and being that first, you know, African-American quarterback to start week one, I think it's kind of like almost like a sigh of relief in a way for the franchise, just to say, hey, like we're not completely racist.
Right? Yeah, I tell you what. Now I'm going to jump off of this topic for just a second because I want to give our fans and our all of our people on this screen some kudos here real fast. So right the moment, at the 643 and Out Pod, we have 6,298 followers, to be 100% honest and right up to the minute. When we look at different things that are going on right now live on X, so it looks at those 6,298 people and it ranks everybody on the side. Right now, the way we are number 2 as far as the most listened to podcast that's going on Twitter right the moment. I can see it. I'm looking at everything. Number 2, gentlemen. Now, we're probably not going to get the number 1 because the number 1 person has 269 people watching them right now. Now, you know, hey, that's a good goal, and we'll push for that. But where we're at right now, I'll take number 2, and I want to thank the 3 of you, Gabriel, Ricky, and Roger, for that, and also every one of our fans that are there. One more time, you can comment. Just click on the comment button in the top right-hand corner, and you can add to what we're doing right now. The last thing we're going to talk about in NFL before we switch over to MLB would be this. Starting Friday, it's the second season of the UFL. So, I don't know. I didn't realize it until I was... In fact, we'll put this up here right now. So the second season of the UFL kicks off this Friday on Fox from Houston, Texas at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm just going to ask you guys a real simple question. It's a yes or no thing. Gabriel, Ricky, Roger, that's how we're going to go. No, nothing else. You know, I know everybody wants to talk, but I'm going to try to kind of squelch this down a little bit as we do some different things here. Ricky, did you know that before I just told you, did you know that the season started this weekend?
Nope.
No? Gabriel, how about you? Did you know?
Nope.
No? Roger, did you know?
I might have, but definitely forgot.
Sounds like a no to me. It's just a nice way to say no.
Yeah.
What is The Rock, your personal friend here or something?
Yeah, maybe future. Yeah, future guest.
Yeah. If he's a future guest, we might be able to get that number 1 spot up there. So how about this, Gabriel? Do you care that the season starts on Friday?
Yeah, I tune in. I like the UFL as a product. It's fun when I'm missing football. If it were going on with the NFL, or in college, I wouldn't pay any mind. But it's good. It's good where it's at.
Okay. Roger, do you care?
I don't know. Not particularly. It's kind of almost like minor league football. It's in the hierarchy. It's probably lower down the totem pole than college football in terms of the quality, or at least the ability to capture an audience for sure. Baseball season, unless there's really nothing else going on, I don't really see myself watching too much UFL.
All right. Ricky, let's talk about this with you. Do you care that the UFL season kicks off this Friday?
I won't say that I care. I'm not like anti UFL, but I mean, it's kind of hard that, you know, NFL free agency just completely overshadows it. And even mock draft season completely overshadows it. I mean, like, I like football. So if it's on, I'll probably watch it. But it's just, it's not, it's a step down from Division I football, I think. I mean, they're just older guys that want to get to the NFL, but it's harder for them to get to the NFL because it's easier to go in from college to the NFL. I think if there was more, and I don't want to compare it to baseball, but if there was more of like a transition system where maybe if you were in college football, you could, you know, maybe go pro as a freshman and go up to the UFL and then play a year or two there and then go to the NFL, maybe get that professional lifestyle, but kind of like a G League in the NBA. But it's completely overshadowed by even mock drafts right now.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about the mock drafts, and you know, I didn't realize this until I saw it on X yesterday. You know, it's now 29 days to the NFL draft. It's only 29 days away. So yeah, crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Hey, so there are two conferences in the UFL. I'm going to give them. This might be the only time we ever talk about it, so I'm going to give them a few moments of plug here, right? So two conferences: the USFL conference. And they're still keeping the old Vince McMahon, the XFL conference. So the USFL has the Birmingham Stallions, the Houston Roughnecks, the Memphis Showboats. It also has the Michigan Panthers. Those are the four teams. The four teams in the XFL division would be the Arlington Renegades, the DC Defenders, the San Antonio Brahmas, and the St. Louis Battlehawks. So I'm just going to open this up. We can all just talk over top of each other, but hopefully not. Who has the coolest name? What city has the coolest UFL name? What do you think? The Stallions, the Roughnecks, the Showboats, the Panthers, the Roughnecks, the Defenders, the Brahmas, or the Battlehawks? Don't all let me talk at once.
Yeah, I think maybe in terms of names, like the Battlehawks just sounds cool.
All
But
right.
is it St. Louis that they have like that blue color to them? I
Yes.
like blue, so I kind of lean towards them.
I would have thought you more of a pink guy, but all right, sir, that's fine. You like
They don't
blue?
have one.
I know they don't have any. None of them are pink. You're right. None of them are. Excuse me. So they've even, you know, the UFL, they actually now have a clothing line. And they have a clothing line, and they've got Under Armour to jump on board with them if you go to their website. So, I mean, you know, we're saying, oh, it's minor league. But I will give it to them. They're coming up in the world, right? Another thing that shows that they're coming up in the world, all games, 8 teams, 10 weeks of season, every game will either be on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, Fox, or FS1. So will any of you can answer, will any of you carve out a day and say, you know what, today's the day that I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the UFL?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean I like the product personally. So these are pretty good players and you'll remember some of them. I like the San Antonio team personally. Throw back to Wade Phillips. He's coaching it down there. And then we have some other former college coaches. Then we have like Kellen Mond and then Danny Etling. So it's kind of fun to see it's like, oh my gosh, I remember him. So I don't mind it. I'll certainly tune in.
All right, gentlemen. So Roger hasn't talked for a minute, so I'm going to ask him specifically this one. So, Roger, this is the last thing we talk about with the UFL. Season tickets are between $18 and $23 to go watch the product live. So, would you pay somewhere between $18 and $23 to watch the product live if it's in your city, Roger?
Yeah, and now you put it that way, that sounds a lot more of an enticing ordeal for, you know, like a young family trying to see something cheap because, you know, NFL tickets, good golly, they can get out of hand, even here in Cincinnati where, you know, they're not title contenders every single year, but the tickets are still can be outrageous. Yeah, $18. Is that sounds like a pretty reasonable price for it. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any city. Maybe St. Louis is the closest one. I can't remember any others. A lot of they're in the south, so where the weather is a little bit warmer and whatnot. But yeah, that sounds like at least a family friendly event for at least the price.
All right, buddy. So let's do this. Let's go to MLB. Let's do it right now with some blues in the background. All right. The first thing I want to do is while I kind of put this blue stuff in the background here, I want to talk about two people. And I want to give them a little bit of not necessarily a shout out here, but I just want to talk about it for a second. Then we'll kind of move on. I want to talk about Mookie Betts for a minute. I don't know if you guys have been following this story. Mookie Betts has lost over 20 pounds in a month. He's not been able to eat solid food since before the Dodgers left for Japan. And whatever he has is still undiagnosed. So I'm going to say special shout out to Mookie Betts. I don't like that team, but I do like him as a person and as a player. So shout out to Mookie Betts there as well. And a sad note that I want to get to here, I also want to do this. New York Yankees outfielder Brett Gardner. Once again, I don't know if you guys have been following this story, but I have been over the past few days. Brett Gardner and his wife Jessica lost their 14-year-old son Miller. He fell ill along with a bunch of their other family members when they went on vacation. Now, they've not put a whole lot of details out there, and I really, really want to respect their privacy. But at the same time, I want to say that myself, I'm sure Gabriel, Ricky, Roger, all of us at www.welikesportsdc.com, and every one of our extended family and listeners right now say that we are praying for you and thinking about you. So I wanted to throw those two things out there as well. Before we dive into MLB, I want to give you something that I'm going to do every single week now moving forward, and that is this, the stat of the cast. I love stats, and we're going to bring this one to you. Here we go. MLB has been around for 147 years. There have been a little over 23,000 players who have played one professional game. So to put that into perspective for everyone listening live right now, and then who are going to watch this on tape delay as well, which we certainly appreciate. Progressive Field is MLB's smallest stadium at 37,830 is its capacity. And that means if every player who has ever put on a big league uniform in the last 147 years from 1876 to 2023, if they were all to go to that stadium, it would only be at 61% capacity. So when you're watching your little kids and you're putting them all in travel ball and everything else, and you're like, oh, this sport's easy. Remember that stat. That is the stat of the cast. All right. Number one, MLB 4-pitch talk. There have been 8 teams with 4 former MVPs on that team. This will be really good for Ricky and Roger down here. You take notes, young gents. You may want to use this on your podcast later on because the first team is the 1978 Reds. They had 4 former MVPs on that team. The 1982 Angels had 4 former MVPs. I didn't do this on purpose, but it's going to be nice for Gabriel up there in the corner, too, because the 1996 Red Sox had 4 former MVPs on that team. The 2021, the 2022 Dodgers. And now, this year, has been the only season ever where 2 teams currently have 4 former MVPs on that team. They are the 2025 Dodgers. Those 4 former MVPs would be Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Clayton Kershaw. I know we've got some comments up there. I'll get to them here in just a moment. And also the Yankees this year have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Paul Goldschmidt, and Cody Bellinger. All of those former MVPs. So 2 teams in the same year that have 4 former MVPs. Ricky, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to go over to Roger, and then Gabriel will round this one off for us. Which of these 2 teams are you going to take to go to the World Series? Would you say the Dodgers and their 4 former MVPs, or the Yankees and their 4 former MVPs?
They're both going to lose. No, I guess if I had to pick one, I think the Dodgers are a little bit more well-rounded. If Ohtani is going to pitch, I think that's a real big shot in the arm for their chances. Even if he doesn't, though, like I just don't think you could replicate a 50-50 season the way he had last year. But the players that the Dodgers have, you know, their skill sets are so unique compared to each other. Like Freddie Freeman's that contact hitter that has power, but he doesn't rely on his power. Mookie Betts is, you know, high average. He's a little bit older now, but he steals some bases. And then you got Ohtani that is your pure power, speed, and then also throw in the pitching mix. Who's the other one I'm missing?
So which team were you rattling off there? I'm sorry.
Dodgers. Betts.
Betts, Freeman, Clayton Kershaw, I believe.
Clayton Kershaw. He's getting up. He's close to retirement. I mean, it's hard with him. Now, like with the Yankees, you know, like Judge is just a different animal. But I think the Dodgers have a little bit more of a well-rounded variety of the talent of the 4 MVPs. It's in reality, it's really 3 because of Kershaw's age, but I think he could still provide a small spark. But yeah, I think the Dodgers have the better, well-rounded.
All right. So Roger, let's go with you. You're going to pick the Yankees or the Dodgers, buddy?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are probably my pick. The Yankees losing Soto and then also Garrett Cole to Tommy John really sets them back, I feel. Soto kind of being the protection or a guy to set the table for Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. So I feel like the Yankees are possibly going to take a step back this year and not even make it to, you know, even the World Series, or probably won't have too deep of a run in the playoffs. I'm sure they'll contend. I'm sure they'll contend for the division, but I can't see them going terribly far. I mean, we're talking about a 2024 Dodgers team last year that all 5 of their starters, or would have been their like main starters, were injured for the most part of the season. They still pieced together 162 games without Ohtani pitching and still had enough horses to get them, you know, to that. I mean, their offense is obviously unbelievable and probably covers up a little bit of that deficiency in their pitching, but they still have the money and they can trade and get a guy like Jack Flaherty for just a flyer, you know, for the remainder of the season and be able to basically get themselves to a World Series. I think, though, it'll be more difficult this year for the Dodgers to repeat because Atlanta's going to come on strong. Acuna is healthy again, he'll be ready hopefully soon into the season. I think maybe May or something like that is what they're targeting. But I think the Dodgers are probably most likely to repeat.
All right. Now, Gabriel, before you talk here, I want to give us some breaking news here. Let's see. I don't know. Do I have something for yeah, let's do this. All right. So, breaking news, especially for my 2 guys at the bottom here, because it's a Cincinnati story. You ready? I've got it. Here we go. Xavier is going to hire, it's official, Rick Pitino Jr. as its new head coach in basketball. Just announced. So I'm looking at my timeline here. So I'll let you guys talk about that some other time. We won't jump into that, but that's some breaking news for us right now. Rick Pitino Jr. will be the new Xavier basketball head coach. Let's see who put that out there. Let me give that person credit. Rick Broering, by the way, at RICKBROE one of the over 6,000 people that we follow and follow us back. Gabriel, which team are you going to pick? The Dodgers or the Yankees, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dodgers. The Yankees, they need more to go right. Where the Dodgers, they just have more flexibility, they have more options, and then you add on the fact that you're all the pieces and getting it a de facto pitcher back potentially. At least signs are indicating that in terms of Otani. Like, I mean, what do you want from me? I just if you if you were to even give me the question, field or the Dodgers, I'd be hard pressed to not pick the Dodgers.
Yeah. And to be honest, if Mitch was here with us and he does all the gambling aspect for us, that was going to be one of our things today was, are you going to take the Dodgers or are you going to take the field if you're going to put money on this MLB season here? We're going to get some rapid fire stuff here in just a little bit. I'll give each one of you a couple questions and we'll just rapid fire this stuff along. But before we do, I'll remind you of the 8 people, and then I'm going to ask you if all 8 of them will be Hall of Famers. I'm going to give you the 8 people, 4 for the Dodgers, 4 for the Yankees. And I'm just going to ask each one of you, yes or no, will all 8 of them be Hall of Famers at some point? Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers, and the Yankees would be Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger. So, Gabriel, since you were last time, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to give you all 8 of them one more time, and then you say yes or no. All 8 of them will be Hall of Famers or not. Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, and Clayton. The Yankees will be Judge, Stanton, Goldschmidt, Bellinger. Yes or no?
I'll give him a yes.
All 8 of them a yes. Ricky, how about you, buddy?
I'm going to say no. I don't think Stanton gets in just based off of his health the last few seasons. I was a huge Stanton fan when he was in Miami. His lack of availability and his decline in numbers over the last 4 or 5 years has been pretty drastic. And I'm not sure about Bellinger either, but I think everybody else gets in.
All right, and I would agree with you on both of those counts. I will tell you that here in just a second, wait till you see this. What the White Sox have done 6 times since the beginning of spring training. It'll blow your mind, I guarantee it. So all of those people who are with us, hang out with us for just a little bit longer. Roger will answer the question. Will all 8 of them go into the Hall of Fame, Roger?
No, I don't think all 8. I think Stanton definitely has a better chance than Bellinger to getting in. I think he had the one MVP season. He's had some decent production for the Cubs, but it doesn't scream Hall of Fame. I mean, I think he's already year 30 in a season, so he's already kind of past his prime. He's not going to really replicate the same numbers that he has been in the past, in my opinion. But I can't see the Stanton was as a maybe, and I don't think Bellinger gets in. He doesn't scream Hall of Famer for me.
Well, not yet. I mean, he's still kind of young. He's only, and he's had some really good years and he's had some really terrible years. So if he can kind of even that out, I think he has a shot. But I'm with you guys. I'm not sure about Stanton. That would be my biggest question mark of the 8 of them. Since the start of spring training, 6 White Sox pitchers have needed Tommy John surgery. That is a correct stat. 6 Chicago White Sox pitchers, just since the start of spring training, are either already have had or are scheduled to have Tommy John surgery. Roger, what does this say about the White Sox and their organization? Try not to take too long because we're going to get to all 3 of us here, and it says a lot as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. Fire their strength and conditioning coach? I don't know, man. That seems like an epidemic. I thought we had injury problems in Cincinnati, but 6 and just the spring training.
Right.
I don't know. Something's going on there. It can't be all, I don't know. It's not contagious, is it? Because I hate for it to catch on somewhere and they play against somebody. So
maybe if it is contagious, maybe it'll catch on to the Dodgers because they share the same spring training facility. So maybe we'll just cross our fingers and hope for the plan. No, I don't want to wish ill will on any players, but if I want to see a team not have success, is how we'll put it, the Dodgers and the Yankees would be at the top of my list. So that won't be too bad. Ricky, what does it say about the White Sox if they've had 6 pitchers, minor and major league pitchers, of course, but 6 pitchers nonetheless, who cares about the White Sox? Hey, calm down, man. I won't spend too much time on that, I swear. But I just thought it was weird when I saw the stat. I mean, what does this mean as far as the White Sox go and the rest of Major League Baseball?
I think it says a lot. I mean, what are they doing in the off season? Are they even training? Like, you got strength and conditioning, you've got culture, you've got a lot of stuff. I think, yeah, granted, that injury can be a fluke injury, but to have that many guys at the same time have the same injury, it seems like there's something more going on than just bad luck.
Yeah, I agree. Gabriel, what do you think, buddy?
I mean, yeah, at that rate, it's systemic. Like what they're for sure mismanaging some or multiple aspects. But it's the White Sox, so we shouldn't be surprised.
I mean, isn't that kind of terrible to say, though? It's the White Sox, and we should just kind of expect it. There should be no team in a major league sport of any kind to where we just basically say, "Oh, that's them, and we should expect it." I'm also going to give you another bit of breaking news, and right at the moment I'm looking at my Twitter, so I'm going to come back and look at the 2 gentlemen at the bottom of the screen because this one has to do with an injury report on the Cincinnati Reds. We're just talking about injuries with the White Sox, and now I did not know of this injury. According to Reds on radio here, we have an injured Red that's going through a calf issue, and they say they will announce what's going to happen to him tomorrow. Austin Hayes has a strained calf, and they're going to let us know more about Austin Hayes tomorrow. That could be a big blow to this Cincinnati Reds team and organization as a whole. So
Just can't catch a break.
Right, I'll just let their sadness and their faces tell the whole story here. So we'll continue to go on here because I got to be out of here in about 13 minutes. I want to make sure I get. I saw that. I want to make sure I get all of this in here real quick. Corbin Burns got $35 million a year for the Diamondbacks, and the Orioles spent $33 million on 3 pitchers: Charlie Morton, Tomoyuki Sagano, or something like that. I probably just butchered that name. And Kyle Gibson. Burns is supposed to have an F WAR, and if you don't know what F WAR, that's Fangraphs WAR, which is wins above replacement. So Burns is supposed to have a 3.6 WAR, and those 3 combined pitchers that Baltimore got to kind of replace him are supposed to have roughly a 3.0 F WAR. I'm going to ask each of you really quickly, which would you rather have? 1 dominant pitcher or 3 pitchers that can take the one guy's spot? Ricky, I'll start with you.
I want depth. Last year with the Reds, we had Hunter Green dominating, but we didn't have that secondary dominant pitcher until the last week of the season or last few weeks of the season with Nick Martinez, with pitchers dealing with injury like Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott falling off. So if I had to choose, if it was equal WAR, give me 3 guys.
All right, Roger, I'm going to change the question here for a second. I'm going to ask you this. The Baltimore Orioles or the Arizona Diamondbacks, which one makes the playoffs, or do both, or do neither?
I think it could very well be both. I think there's a lot of publications out there that are very high on the Diamondbacks. They've been pretty good the last couple seasons, and adding Corbin Burns definitely raises their level as well when they got starters like Merrill Kelly and Brandon Pfaff and all that. So they're a good team already, and adding another horse to that makes them that much more better. It just isolation of like Corbin Burns versus 3 guys. I think you take the depth, like Ricky's saying, especially in 2025, where guys are not going as deep in the ball games. They're on pitch counts, etc. You definitely want the depth over the one guy. But if we're talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks starting rotation versus the starting rotation of the Orioles, I take Arizona all day.
Right. All right, Gabriel, I'll give you a minute because I'm gonna pluck this out there real fast, and you're gonna be able to answer whichever question you want. So I'll give you a second to pick which one you want to answer, and I'm also going to tell you this: 8 more people, gentlemen. 8 more people. We get 8 more people, we're going to have 100 people with us live right now watching the Sportz Truth. So they are lining up for us, buddy. and we're going to keep this MLB conversation going with Gabriel. Gabriel can be found at Sports Pulse 100, correct, Gabriel?
Yes.
All right, that's where you will find him at. Which question are you going to answer? And give us that answer, buddy.
Sure. I like the depth question better. For sure, you'd rather have 3 pitchers versus 1 star/dominant pitcher. I mean, right? There are 2 aspects to that. You never know, particularly when you need to win games. Come the postseason, you never know just when a pitcher when he can get got and when the wheels fall off. So being able to then pivot to a really good secondary and then or tertiary option, that's way more important, I think. And then look at Clase, for example. Right, had a really good year, and then they had to get him out of there. So that's an example of why I would go for the depth part of this. In terms of the Orioles, I'm excited, and I'm not saying this is my pick, but I'm actively, if it's not the Red Sox, I'm actively rooting for them to be positioned to dethrone the Yankees in the AL East. So come on, I think the Orioles are, kidding aside, I think the Orioles are a good ball club this year.
Yeah, if I can add on to that too, going back to what we were talking about the Yankees with their 4 MVPs compared to the Dodgers, and like Roger said, I think they're going to take a step back. This could be the year that they miss the playoffs because the Orioles take that step up along with Boston and maybe even Toronto. So I mean, there could be a way where the Yankees miss.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to give you a couple things here, not necessarily breaking because they've happened over the course of the day, but I want to get everybody caught up. If you haven't seen catcher Kyle Riley for the Minnesota Mariners, my goodness, for the Seattle Mariners are finalizing a 6-year, $105 million extension. We're talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks here a little bit, so I'll throw in these 2 nuggets. Number one, Jordan Montgomery. I don't know if you've seen this. They've been shopping him all spring training, but now he's going to have Tommy John surgery. So he is going to be on the shelf and will be out for this entire season. What did the Diamondbacks do? They turned right around, and they've already signed another pitcher. They signed Jalen Beats today. He used to be with the Astros, which was where hang on, I got to get his name because I can't remember. Who's the Mike Hazen. There we go. So Mike Hazen, actually, Beeks was drafted by Boston back in 2014, so he has a familiarity with him. And then one more spot we'll keep up here with the baseball happenings going on right at the moment. I was very surprised by this. Bruce Bochy announced earlier today, Evan Carter did not make the Rangers opening day roster. I was pretty surprised about that. So just a few things in MLB that we need to keep up on that we're throwing out there. And hang on here. I am behind on some of these comments. I've been doing stuff. So let me get caught up on those things. And while we're doing that, 5 people away, gentlemen. Only 5. 5 more is all we need. So I'm going to ask each of you this. I want you to pick one and tell me which one you would want as your opening day starter. Here are your choices: Tarek Skubal, Paul Skeens, Zach Wheeler, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And you have to be able to say his name correctly if that's the one you want to choose. All right? So which one of those 4 guys do you want to do? Skubal, Skeens, Wheeler, Yamamoto. Roger, I'm going to start with you, buddy.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to go with familiarity. I've seen Skeens the most and seen him do some things to the Reds that it sometimes ain't right, just the way he mixes up pitches and makes guys look silly. And he's got that velocity too, and it's just, I don't know. I like to think that the Pirates are going to just keep pirating this year, even though they've got pretty decent 1-2 punch in the rotation. But yeah, give me Skeens, put him on the Reds, then we're good.
All right, Ricky, 3. You need 3. Go, buddy, go.
Yeah, I was gonna say Skeens. Just I was on the hype train of getting him starting the All-Star game, his second start in. I just just his stuff there's nothing like him. He's got that splunker. He's got that fastball, and you look at overlays of him pitching. It's impossible to hit him. So if he stays healthy, he could be like, I don't want to say all time great, but like our generation great.
Okay. I'm not saying I disagree with you. We got one vote for Skeens. Roger, who did you vote for? You went with Skeens as well, right?
Yeah.
Gabriel, are you gonna disagree? You gonna go with somebody else?
Yeah, we'll be contrary. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, you got to go with Skeens. I think that's a really interesting comment too, in terms of his potential track. Very possible. Certainly off to a great start. I hope that the Pirates are able to do justice by him. Otherwise, it'll be fun watching for that announcement. Paul Skeens to the LA Dodgers. So I'm looking forward to that, and whenever that comes.
Yeah, we're in the same boat in Cincinnati about Ellie De La Cruz. So.
Right. So here's what I want to do to both of you. Don't ever say that one of these guys is going to the Dodgers again, or what's going to happen is. All right. Stop it right now.
God.
Stop it. All right. Here we go. We are going to do rapid fire. I have 6 questions. I'm going to just rapid these things out. I only want like a 10-second response from each of you. All right. And we are going to go the same route every time. So we're going to go Gabriel, Ricky, Roger. All right. We got 6 questions for you. Let's put some rapid fire music on in the background, and that's how we're going to end our show today. Here we go. All right. So, first question is going to have a little bit of a setup to it, but I think you'll like it once we get there. Corbin Carroll this spring, 4 home runs, 10 RBI, 366 average, a 422 on base percentage, and a 1.154 OPS. In his final 64 games last season, he was the 7th highest Fangraph WAR at 3.1. He had 17 home runs, and he had 17 stolen bases. Combining last year and this year in spring, here's what I want to ask. We'll start with Gabriel, go Ricky, go Roger. Will Corbin Carroll have a 30-50 season? Gabriel, go.
I'll take the under on the question. No.
So no. All right. Ricky?
I'll say no, but it'll be close.
No, but it'll be close. Roger, we got 2 no's. Are you going to go yes?
Yeah, I like Corbin Carroll. I say yeah. He's got the potential. I like it.
All right. Here we go. Question number 2 in our MLB rapid fire. San Francisco Giants won the Cactus League. The Toronto Blue Jays won the Grapefruit League. Will either of them be in the playoffs when it really counts? Gabriel, we'll start with you, but wait, 100 people are with us live. We did it, gentlemen. Gabriel, go ahead, buddy. Will they be in the playoffs when it really counts?
No.
Neither one of them.
No.
Come on, work with me here. Okay? I know it's 100 people and we're all overwhelmed here real quick, but so neither one, right?
Yeah, I'm going to double down. Absolutely not. Because I'm being pressed.
Ricky, the Giants, the Blue Jays, they're who won the 2 divisions in spring training. Will they be in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Which one?
Both of them.
Both of them. Ooh, Roger. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, both of them are pretty difficult divisions. I think probably more Giants than Blue Jays. But, you know what I want to see? I want to see them do like how they do the NBA Summer League. I want to see them do a championship game, play against each other, see who wins the spring training overall, and give them a trophy. Why not?
That would be interesting. I like this. I wish I'd have done this rapid fire a little earlier in the show. We'd have went a little further with this. I like that. All right. Was last Tuesday opening day, Gabriel, or is it Thursday? Which one?
Thursday.
Thursday. Ricky, Thursday or Tuesday? Which one's opening day to you?
Whenever Cincinnati plays.
Nice.
So Thursday. Roger, what about you, bud?
Yeah, same as Ricky, except as many games as the Cubs can lose before opening day, I'm good with it.
Yep.
All right. 4 of our 6 rapid fire questions. We are now up over 100 now, by the way, gentlemen. So, will any Major League Baseball team lose plus 100 games this season? Will any team lose over 100 games? Gabriel, let's start with you.
Over 100, yeah.
Okay, who would that be?
We got some good contenders. I'll give the Angels a potential shout out.
All right. Ricky, is there any team going to lose over 100 games this season? And if so, give me one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the White Sox. I think they might even break their own record.
Nice.
All right, Roger.
Yeah, White Sox. The stat you gave doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be turning the shit around.
Yeah, they have no depth.
Right. They've lost their right.
Unless
their
somehow,
manager out there on the mound.
yeah, unless there's they got some black voodoo magic that gets their pitchers right back on the mound in less than 2 weeks.
I think Joey Gallo said he's going to pitch. They might end up signing him.
Right.
Here we go. 120 losses this time.
Or more.
All right. I'm going to cut this music off here for just a second because in the background we put this Twitter poll question out there. 656 people now have looked at this Twitter poll question online, and some of them have actually voted. Here's the question. I'll give you guys a chance to do the same thing here and vote on this particular question. So it is this. If you had the number one pick in your baseball fantasy draft, are you choosing a pitcher or a hitter? I'll get all of you guys. Gabriel, we'll start with you, a pitcher or a hitter, and then I'll tell you what our fans said on the Twitter poll question.
Give me a pitcher, because that's what I went with in the poll.
Okay. Ricky, how about yourself, buddy? Pitcher or hitter? Which one are you taking with the first pick in your fantasy baseball draft?
You're going to give me a hitter, someone like Ellie or someone like Ronald Acuna.
Okay. Roger, we got one for each. You're going to break the tie here, buddy. What are we going to do?
I don't know if this is breaking the tie, but I think Shohei Ohtani's both, right? So can I pick him?
Oh, nice.
I believe that's cheating is what that is.
I mean, he is a cheat code. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's true.
That works.
That is true. All right, before we get to our last one, we're going to start the bagpipes up here in just a moment. If you haven't heard, I don't know. I know Roger's not been on this show yet, so he might not know what the bagpipes are. We'll get them going here in just a second as we end the show. Once again, still got over 100 people with us. That's fantastic. I thank all of you guys. Wait a minute here. I've got to catch up a little bit. There. I'll leave these up here for a few seconds as we go. Our last question is going to be an interesting one, I think. We'll give you guys all pause, all of you thinking. I got two more comments here. Let me put them up here to make sure we catch everybody. And I certainly agree with the last one. I forgot about the Pirates. Yeah, the Pirates are going to be close to that 100 loss spectrum as well. Here is our final question as we got just a few seconds here, or a minute or so before we get out of here. Here it is. Gentlemen, Gabriel, Ricky, Roger. Gabriel can be found at Sports Pulse 100. Ricky is at It's Ricky Logan, right, Ricky?
Yep, and at Red's Hot Red Pod.
All right. And then Roger, he sucks. He doesn't have any social media. All right.
Local Sports Matter. Substack.
Damn. Damn.
All right. You can find us right here at the 643 and Out Pod. You can jump over to our YouTube channel as well. YouTube.com/at the 643 and Out Pod. Let me give you a 30-second tutorial. Where in the world did you get 643 and out? 643 like a double play in baseball. 3 and out like you can't make a first down in football. We took those, we smashed them together. There's two guys doing it. So the 643 and out guys are what we are. And then this is Sportz Truth. Here is our final question. You can only watch one event this year. The Super Bowl or opening day? Which one are you choosing? Gabriel, Super Bowl, opening day.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
All right, so opening day for Gabriel. Ricky Logan, it's Ricky Logan on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call that place. Well, you take 103 people, by the way.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Well, I can buy you nothing. You're going to have to buy it yourself. And you're going to have to get some for your wife and your little kid, too.
Yeah.
All right, Roger, where are you going? Opening day or Super Bowl, buddy?
Yeah, I think going for the sweep. The opening day, Super Bowl, it's just commercials now, isn't it?
Good
There's
point.
a lot more commercials than what I want. I mean, that's almost a spectacle of the show, right?
And I'll say opening day because my favorite team's got a chance.
Right? We've all still got hope on opening day, right?
Yeah.
It takes at least a week to lose it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
500. We're at 500.
Unless you're
boys.
the White Sox.
Unless for the White Sox. All right, gentlemen, I want to give you about 30 seconds apiece as we go off air. Roger, where can they find you at? Thank you for being on the Sportz Truth. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, you can find me here hopefully again, but also Red Hot Reds Pod on Twitter. Like I said, Ricky and I have been working on this project, and we'll be ready to roll with coverage of the Reds throughout the whole 2025 season. So check us out also YouTube at Ohio Sports Talk.
All right, Ricky, talk to me. Give me the 30-second spiel. Where can our fans, all 104 of them that are with us live, where can they get you at, buddy?
Yeah, you can find me here on X at It's Ricky Logan, Red Hot Reds Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Chatterbox Sports pregame show coming starting Monday. Doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And check out our podcast. We have some really cool stuff coming. We're trying to do like an interview style weekday thing, like a Joe Rogan, like get to know the guy, and then do a Sunday recap like the week of baseball.
All right, sounds good. Gabriel, it is your time, buddy. Tell us where people can get you. And you know what? Right before we go to Gabriel, we've added one more. 105. Gentlemen. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm on X at Sports Pulse 100. Right now, March Madness focusing on writing a lot of articles on the men's and women's side. A lot of great storylines, a lot of fantastic games. So that's right now the focus. But then resuming next week, we have shows ourselves. So we'll hopefully have Michael and Roger and Ricky if you'd like. We'll hopefully have you three on at some point. But other than that, just finding awesome content for people like the three other people on the screen here, sharing it and then commenting on whatever is going on in the world of sports. I don't care. It can be pickleball, it can be the UFL, it can be competitive, laundry. We're probably going to have our 2 cents.
All right, man. Gentlemen, thank you all very much. I know it was short notice. I was throwing out stuff like help, help, help. And all three of you came to my rescue. I appreciate it. The fans obviously appreciate it. This is the show where we have had the most people live with us ever. So I want to thank all three of you for doing that. Gabriel, Ricky, Roger, thank you all very much. And as we say at the end of every single broadcast, the only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base line. Good evening.